Hi, everyone, and welcome to a bit of an odd start to the ERSCA Rockingham race here this evening. I am David Westergreen. I am joined, as always, by Emily Harlan. Dom Santino will be joining us shortly. And Emily, this one's going to be a little bit wild. Colin Fambro, one of our top five in points, has already seemingly locked up his wheel and spun out to start this one. Bit of a crazy beginning to this race, and I think it's going to be a wild race.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less than that, how the last few races have gone. I'm excited for this one, but we'll see if I'm going to be busy tonight getting down if there's a lot of cautions going on. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think there will be at least a number of green flag runs, but I think we will get into some periods where these guys end up not doing as much give and take and end up really racing hard with each other at this very difficult track. But the pace car is going to go ahead and jump in, and we're going to get set for 170 laps at Rockingham. The Belly Up Sports Rockingham 170 is green. Scott Crump, the pole sitter, leads off. I don't think we have an overlay today, so I'll do my best to keep you guys updated on where the drivers are. But Chris Wright into second. James Heater, the outside pole sitter, falling back drastically early on. And this is going to be up to Chris Wright and Scott Crump to sort things out at the front. Nick Massey has come through to third. I think Jeff Green up into fourth. And Heater might have held off Green there. I believe that he did. And you got Thomas Sherman now challenging Jeff Green for that sixth position. Big crash in the back. Try to check who was involved on that one, but a big hit early on in this race, and that will bring the caution out. So, Emily, you will be, I think, wide used. And it was our points leader, Ethan Burrell, into the wall. Oh, a difficult start for Ethan.
I'll have to jump down in a little bit and see what happened there, especially so early in the race. I'm assuming that's something that he's not thrilled about, but lucky that it is early. Hopefully his car didn't have too much damage there and he'll be
It's
able to
funny.
challenge it.
So I got a replay pulled up, and we'll have to go back and look at this. But Ethan, before the race, was telling me how much he thought the 99 of Brandon Scott was going to be a sleeper for the race. He thought he was going to do a really good job, and we'll see this on the replay, but it looks to me like Brandon Scott gets into the back of Dylan Thomas, which shoots the 03 car into the 37 of Ethan Burrell. We watch here as they're following Tate Lytle, and it might have started when Damian Leininger blinked a little bit there, but Ethan, the car that gets the worst of it. It looks like everyone else was okay. A lot of checking up going on, but I don't know that there's any more damage throughout the field. I think Ethan's the worst off for sure. A couple of people who just had horrible luck to start, Nick and Delicato and Colin Fambro, have also multiple laps down early in this one.
It did look like you said, David, it didn't look that intense. It looks kind of mild from what we're kind of used to seeing
Mhm.
on the track sometimes. So hopefully everyone is able to kind of get back in it here.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the damage to Ethan Burrell's car may be pretty detrimental in terms of his ability to drive down the straightaways. But if he can make it through the corners, it should be okay. No nose damage for the Ethan Burrell car, so that's one benefit. If the nose is crunched in, your car certainly won't be near as fast. If Ethan can drive it, it should be all right. But he'll be multiple laps down. I think when it comes to it, this race kind of usually ends up with a long green flag feel. And when we get races like that, it just ends up being much more about having the clean car and that track position as opposed to being in the back with the damaged race car.
Is there anybody that you're kind of keeping an eye on for this race that you think might do especially well, or your pick for this race here tonight?
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Ethan before this race, and he told me to watch out for Brandon Scott. So, yeah, that was my initial one. But I told Ethan my pick was going to be Scott Crump, and he went and
Mhm.
qualified on the pole. It looks a little hindsight-ish, but if I was picking a guy before this race had ever even started, we didn't get a true pre-race like we've had a couple of times. But I told Ethan Scott Crump's the guy I'm watching out for. This is his kind of racetrack. He's won races here before. Saving tires, he's going to have to do a lot of that. Going to have to manage the gaps behind him. Crump's pretty good at that. So, given
Mhm.
his air and track position, I like Scott Crump in this one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I actually was picking him as well because I saw on Twitter he said this is one of his favorite tracks. So I think he's gonna do well. I was kind of keeping an eye on him. So we'll see how he does. Though sometimes I feel like starting first is great, and sometimes it could be kind of detrimental as well. So
Yeah, these guys have. are really fast on single car runs, and we see who's really fast clawing their way through the field each week. It seems like the guys who've been up front just end up not having any luck
Mhm.
when it comes down to the ends of these races. And we have 170 laps in this one. We're only 7 laps in. So for right now, I think it's going to be somewhat, there's a lot of time left for these guys to take
Right.
advantage of all that there is going on at Rockingham. They only have 5 sets of tires, which I think is going to limit pit stops and limit guys trying to take advantage of early tire strategies. Eventually, I think we'll have to send you down there and see what these guys are
Mhm.
thinking. But for now, I think the strategy will be to stay out.
Yeah, when would you expect these guys to maybe go down and get a fresh set of tires?
40 to 50 laps. And I think if we run even 10 laps now and get a caution, these guys will come in and strap a new set on. The tire wear is absolutely horrendous at Rockingham. It's a
Mhm.
cheese grater of a racetrack, and these tires are going to fall off drastically throughout the run. 2, 3, 4 seconds per lap that fresh tires will be worth. We'll bring in Dom Santina now. He's back with us after 7 laps. Dom, we've already had Ethan Burrell crash out. Scott Crump out in the lead, and he will go again. And it's been a bit of a wild race early.
Yeah, I could hear you right when I came on there, David, talking about Rockingham and how tough this place is and the tire wear. And no surprise with early cautions here at a short track.
Yeah, and I think Rockingham will, file out and go green, as we do have Scott Crump leading, Chris Wright, Nick Massey, Josh Adams up into fourth place, and then it'll be Jeff Green into fifth. Or actually, Ryan Lutz took fifth from Jeff Green on that restart, so moved the 36 car up into fifth spot. And with his primary title contender already by the wayside, I think Ryan Lutz smells blood in the water.
Yeah, absolutely bad luck there for Ethan Burrell after having a top three last week, a race win 2 weeks ago. Not going to be having a good finish tonight, and Lutz looking to take over the points lead once again.
Yeah, and tough break early for Colin Fambro, seventh in points. Spun on the opening, and we're not entirely sure what's wrong with that 5 car. Maybe we can send Emily down to figure it out. He's back on pit road again. So whatever issues are plaguing him, as well as the 01 of Nick and Delicato, those guys are having just a rough start to this one. Both of them 3 laps down, and Fambro on pit road again. The battle up front is between Chris Wright and Scott Crump, a couple of guys that have been dominating races of late. Nick Massey third, Adams fourth, Lutz fifth still. And Jeff Green, 2000 Xfinity champion, sits in sixth. James Heater seventh. Thomas Sherman sits back in eighth, having a very good run early in this one. Jared Mogard in ninth, and Tate Lytle rounds out the top 10. Uh, Currently, though, the battle is for the lead. Chris Wright kind of wears out the back bumper of Scott Crump, but I think these guys are going to have to do a lot in terms of saving tires and trying not to over push their equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you already mentioned it or not, David. Top 10 lock into the All-Star race. So for Fambro, this is the worst possible situation to be in right now, having trouble this early.
Right, because he hasn't won a race yet this season. He's been in top five races as Chris Wright tries and looks for the lead in turn 3. This is the turn that's got a lot more momentum through it at Rockingham. At some point, we'll have to go on board with one of these guys and take a look at how this track is designed. Some fans may have either not been alive the last time NASCAR ran Rockingham, or yes, here we go. We'll be on board with Chris Wright here. Some fans not alive last time we ran Rockingham. Some fans haven't seen a Rockingham race in a while, and this track is so unique. It's got 2 completely different ends, kind of similar to Darlington. As we're going to onboard with Chris right here, following in the path of Scott Crump. This first turn is a big braking turn, high banked. You really have to slow your car up, but once you can get into the gas, this turn 2 wall comes up on you real quick. And then now, as you see, Wright trying to go underneath Crump, he's going to get off the gas and just get right back on it here. Turn 3 much narrower, more sweeping, and off into this straightaway, which is a little bit of a strange little left turn, but it's not quite a perfect straightaway. As Chris Wright to the lead, Josh Adams through now to second. This 95 car really coming on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Adams trying to pick up and get up here to the race lead. As David said, strong couple weeks of recent. unfortunately was not in the top 10 last week, though. He had a second place finish 2 weeks ago at Michigan, trying to get back up here in the top 5 once again.
It seems like Adams has been one of those guys that if he's running well, he's in the top 5. He's got 4 top 10 finishes and 4 top 5 finishes. So he's kind of more boom or bust right now, which it kind of explains his near 100-point gap up to Ethan Burrell. It's going to be tough for a guy like Josh Adams to gain consistency. He just needs to capitalize on these big, good races for him, and he's up into second right now, which bodes well going forward for the Ruthless Motorsports driver.
Yep, absolutely. But as we're on lap 17 of 170, Chris Wright continues to lead, but the gap may soon be closing as Adams continues to close in. And then it's Crump, Lutz, and Massey, your top 5.
Yep, James Heater sits back in 6th spot right now. One of the guys that we've ridden on as just being super consistent all season, as Ryan Lutz goes for 3rd on Scott Crump. 36 car looking really strong early. As he's going to complete the pass in turn 3. Move that 36 car up to P3. As I briefly go back to James Heater, really am a fan of his consistency this year. He's been in the top 10 just as many times as Ethan Burrell. He hasn't had the top finishes to show for it, but he's been really consistent, and I'm kind of waiting on him to break out and win a race.
Yeah, absolutely. Heater has done a great job this season, and once again, running strong up here in the 6th position. One car that we have not seen in the top 10 lately that's now running there in the 9th position is Jeff Green in that 38 car. Currently in a battle with Weeks, but good to see Green back up here inside the top 10.
Yep, Jeff Green hasn't had the luckiest of seasons so far, and as he's going to lose several spots here, got real tight there off turn 2. Damian Leininger now underneath. Weeks, Scott, Leininger all by Jeff Green. Green kind of falling like a rock here. He might have worn the tires off of that 38 car. And gotta shout out Josh Clark's paint scheme while we're here. Kind of a Davey Allison throwback since he runs number 28, and that car looks real good. As Thomas Sherman loose up the racetrack.
Things starting to move and shake back here a little bit between these guys. Passes being made.
Yep,
See Dylan Thomas.
Don't look now, but Ethan Burrell has climbed up to 21st on the grid in that 37 car. He's going to try to make a comeback once again. Last week, remember, 8-9 pit stops to get the damage fixed. Brought her home P2. I don't know if he'll have that kind of speed throughout the day, but for now, he's working his way back up. He's certainly not slow, I think, is the big thing.
New race leader Josh Adams has got around Chris Wright. And Ryan Lutz is trying to chase him down as well. Now, if you remember, David, you guys might have talked about it before I got here, but Wright and Lutz were not very happy with each other after last week.
I actually hadn't mentioned it at all. Yeah, Chris Wright and Ryan Lutz, not happy. We ended up not getting an interview with Chris Wright because of the discussions that were being had there. And we'll see how they race each other here as Lutz looking underneath the 69 of Wright. See if there's any room given. Looks like Wright's pretty much understands he's worn the tires off the 69 car, and he'll let Lutz go on by.
Crump going to tuck underneath as well, take that 3rd spot away, and Massey going to go with him as well. So the 69 car of Wright going to fall quite a few spots back as Heater's there underneath now as well.
Yep, tough break for Chris Wright early on, but I think maybe a little bit of strategy there. Go up, get your lap sled, fall back into the field, and then click off some laps. Josh Adams now employing that with Ryan Lutz hunting him down. So it looks like we're going to keep on having guys shuffle the lead out, which makes for good racing. And it's really fun to watch so far. I thought Scott Crump might have burned his stuff up, but he looks like he's been able to rebound, sitting in 3rd, cool his tires off, and have a chance to go back after him. Here comes Ryan Lutz, though, charging in for the lead on Josh Adams.
Yeah, I just saw that in the corner of the screen. Lutz looks like he's going to be able to make the move. And now maybe Adams used up his tires because here comes Crump, Massey, and Heater will be in line as well.
Yep. And Mogard got around Chris Wright back there. So a number of guys, pulling up to the lead and then kind of losing their tire. Once you get up to that top groove, it seems like it's very difficult to get it back and get back in rhythm. See if Adams can hang on to this front group. For now, though, Ryan Lutz, Scott Crump, Nick Massey, James Heater, and Josh Adams, the top 5. and already 4 leaders in this race, which means 4 guys have been divvied out those bonus points, and that is big for Ryan Lutz. He's got a pretty massive gap to get up 19 points to get up on Ethan Burrell. And we do have halfway points. We do have those bonus points for leading laps. Ryan Lutz going to try to lead as many laps as he can here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the Burrell, we talked about it last week about how he made quite a few pit stops to get that 37 car back running and have a top 3 finish. But the problem is, we were having cautions every 3 or 4 laps. We're on a nice green flag stretch right now. And we'll see how he can do, but might be a little bit more out of luck this week than he was last week.
Well, the car might not be nearly as damaged as it seemed last week. Nose is still completely intact on this 37 car. The rear end spoiler seems okay. He's probably driving it like he thinks it's new. We can see the damage on the rear deck there, but Ethan's certainly making ground. He's up to 20th. Car doesn't look too bad. Running around Johnny Thomas, Brandon Key, some not so slow cars. So I feel like this 37 might be okay.
Yeah, who knows? Plus, like last week, gets a little bit of track position. He might be right back in the thick of things as we look at Adams and Mogard here doing battle. Tate Lytle right behind him.
New paint scheme for that Tate Lytle machine, and that thing is bright and it's popping off the screen. Looks really fantastic, and he's going to be moving forward too. This 56 car looks pretty spicy, and I think the Pro Edge guys in the chat earlier today were kind of hyping up the thought that Tate Lytle might go in and pull off his second victory of the season.
Oh, he's moving in the right direction as he makes a pass there on Adams for the spot.
Into 5th goes Jared Mogard right in front of him. Mogard has had some good results this year, but in a bit of a slump of late, falling down to 13th in points. So Jared Mogard needing to turn that around if he wants to lock himself into the All-Star race. He also doesn't have a win this season. Just 2 top 10s as well, but been pretty consistent in getting those good finishes. A lot of bonus points for this 00 car. And he's maybe ruffled a little feathers, but he's made it up there and is running pretty well, especially today, running in 5th.
Our 5th new leader, Scott Crump, goes to the point. Lutz now moving backwards into the 3rd spot as Nick Massey went by as well.
Oh, yeah, Nick Massey up into 2nd here. This 48 car very consistent. So far, Massey hasn't really been that dominant car to defend his title, 14th in points, but I've been, another guy I'd mentioned it before. I'm waiting for Nick Massey to come in and win a race. I think Bristol was his closest run, where he finished 2nd to Cameron Rich. 48 car certainly looks like it has the horsepower today.
Yeah, absolutely. We keep saying it week in and week out. When is that 48 car going to go back to victory lane? Well, he's got a good shot at least to lead a few laps here, if not be one of the top cars to talk about the rest of the day, as we're coming around on lap 35 now of 170. Laps clicking off pretty quickly here.
A couple of guys I've got my eye on back in the field, although Massey battling Crump is kind of getting closer and closer. A couple of guys I got my eye on are Matthew Weeks and Damian Leininger running 8th and 9th. Those guys seem to have something locked up. They saved their tire for the longer run, and both cars looking pretty good early on here. I think Damian and Matthew are going to have something to say about this one before it's over.
Yeah, and you can tell how far they fall off when the tires do go. You can see Weeks behind them back there in the 10th spot, just ahead of Brandon Scott and Dylan Thomas. One thing I wonder is maybe Ryan Lutz just let those 2 cars go by, not to use up his tires so much, because James Heater has not been able to get by him yet.
Yeah, Ryan Lutz doesn't let anybody by, but I think that he would have gone into a little more tire saving mode once he realized those guys were going to be able to get around him, and maybe done some damage control, or maybe James Heater doesn't have as good tire. Maybe Tate Lytle's going to come up and take advantage of the 16 car.
Yeah, we will find out. Does look like Lytle is closing in this gap, staying consistent though. Massey and Crump, as you just saw, pretty close together, and there's Tate Lytle making his way up to James Heater, trying to take that 4th spot away.
We had an incident between Jordan Owens and Kendall Noah Player down the back. You might have seen the smoke. I don't believe the caution is out, though. The racing continues.
There's Joe Francis as well.
Running pretty far back here. A couple of these guys, Joe Francis, Michael Goodman, Chuck Sweeting, guys that I really wasn't expecting to have such poor runs early on in this one. They might be pacing themselves, though, saving their tires. And here they come, already finding some guys and finding some speed, making some passes right as we mentioned that. And maybe these guys who burned off their tires are falling back. I know Matthew Bayek was much higher up than 24th the last time we saw him.
Yeah, and you see right just ahead of them was Jeff Green, who was falling through the field pretty far, but we're looking at Burrell there in the 37 car.
He's made up exactly one spot since we last saw him, up into 19th now. So the going is slow for this 37. He definitely needs a caution to be able to fix some of that damage on the rear bumper of the 37 car if he wants a chance at, making up that ground and getting back with Ryan Lutz. Back up into the top 5. Looks like the best battle will be back end of the top 10 there between Josh Adams, Chris Wright, and Brandon Scott. Scott running fairly well in 11th so far and looking to take 10th away from Chris Wright.
Yeah, 2 of our race leaders now on the verge of falling to the back of the top 10 or outside the top 10, depending on what Scott can do here.
Battle up front, though, has not changed. It is still Nick Massey behind Scott Crump by about a 1/10 of a second. As Scott finally makes that move on Chris Wright, he will take 10th. And there is your race lead. It is very narrow between Crump and Massey. Ryan Lutz is second and 4/10 back. He is way off of this group. James Heater now right on his back bumper, and then Tate Lytle just behind him. So Scott Crump, Nick Massey, though, that's the big race for the lead right now. And Massey, I don't know if he's applying pressure or just riding, but it can't be comfortable for the 51 to have the 48 breathing down his neck so closely.
No, absolutely not. I'm wondering if Massey's maybe trying to push Crump just a little bit to use up whatever tire he has left at this point and make the move, but track position might be big too for the 48 car and just riding along at the moment, waiting to take advantage of when he feels he can actually make the pass.
Yep, lap 45 going on the board right now as we hit the line. Crump, Massey, Ryan Lutz, Heater, and Tate Lytle, the top 5. Jared Mogard 6th, Matthew Weeks 7th, Damian Leininger 8th. Brandon Scott just took 9th from Josh Adams. And and then Chris Wright is 11th. So 2 early leaders have fallen by the wayside. Josh Adams and Chris Wright have quickly fallen through the field, though that fate has not befell Ryan Lutz or Nick Massey. As here comes Massey for the lead up front. There he goes up to the top of the track, not where you see many passes made, and looks like he won't be able to make it there. Turn the top lane in turn 2, just way too narrow up above near that wall.
No, but Tate Lytle is coming once again. He just got the 4th spot away, and now he's going to come on the attack of Lutz here for the 3rd spot.
Tate Lytle really fast right now.
Yep, and he's going to try to take this spot away, probably another lap or so from Lutz. And we'll see if he can reel in those front 2.
Yeah, the way I see it right now, Lytle is about 0.3 of a second faster than Scott Crump and Nick Massey. That 56 car really working well. He's still in the 25-second bracket. Everyone else in the 26-second bracket each lap. So, and we remember we ran qualifying laps at about 24, 23 seconds. So 2 to 3 seconds of tire fall off just in these first 50 laps. Couple of good battles between Crump, Massey, and then Lytle and Lutz inside the top 5. We swing back to the mid top 10. Brandon Scott has taken it over, and now Dylan Thomas enters the top 10. Last week's dominant car will get another opportunity.
Yeah, good to see Thomas back up here having another strong run here early on. If I remember right, David, he had a mistake on pit road that took him out of that one. Wasn't that the case?
Didn't he get spun by Brandon Scott? He spun Brandon Scott or something along those lines.
Maybe, possibly. Yeah,
or Cameron Rich. He spun Cameron Rich trying to go around him with about 50 to go. It just opened the door for Chris Wright.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what happened there, but I do remember that 03 car running strong up front. There's Johnny Thomas.
Yep. Chuck Sweeting moving through the field nicely from 30th up to 17th. going around Adam Pettit, who started 26th. So a couple of guys here who've only moved forward thus far. Gerald Campbell right behind them in 18th. A little bit of a suspiciously low day for Gerald so far. Look for the 31 car to maybe make things up later on. I'm trying to get a sense of who's got the fast car based on lap times. Right now, it's Tate Lytle by about a tenth of a second over just about everybody else, though I think he is pushing Ryan Lutz a little bit better than previously.
Yeah, I think either it's that push or Lutz has picked it up just a little bit because he's about a tenth or so slower, but still hanging over Lytle as they've been working through a couple lap cars, not heavy lap traffic, but
Kyle Hanshaw.
that tandem up front stays the same with Crump and Massey.
Yep, Lutz and Lytle have eaten into the lead a little bit. It's down to a 1 second flat, maybe 1 1/10. But that's still not enough to kind of make it up to this group. And Massey, with only the one side-by-side run, he hasn't been able to get around this 51 of Crump. Crump just manages his gaps so well. He's very difficult to pass, and when he gets up into the lead like this, even when you have a little bit of an advantage like Massey might, Crump just runs very smoothly, keeps it consistent. He's just difficult to pass.
James Heater sitting back there in the 5th position, just riding along by himself at the moment.
Putting a lap, the leader's putting a lap on Harrison Talon up there, and I really thought Massey was going to have a run at him, but the lapped car ended up preventing that. Here comes Massey once again.
Currently working on lap 55 of 170.
Yep. Crump, Massey, Lutz, Lytle, and Heater still the top 5. Matthew Weeks, Damian Leininger, Brandon Scott, Dylan Thomas, and Chris Wright now the top 10. And yeah, all that because it looks like someone fell out of the top 10. I'm trying to. Jared Mogard has pitted and come down pit road and is now going on fresh tires. So Mogard with being the first to pit and trying that strategy out. We'll also eventually see Jeff Green go flashing around the leaders. He's in the back end of the top 10 with fresh rubber. So a couple of guys trying a ultra short pit strategy. See if that plays out for him. But for now, Crump leads Massey by the same gap of 1/10 of a second that he's had this whole run. But Ryan Lutz has started to eat into their lead. He was down to 1.4. It's now 0.8. Ryan Lutz starting to make moves back to the front.
Yeah, I have to wonder if it was a tire-saving move to fall off a little bit or what the case was for the 36. We're going to battle for the lead now. Massey looking to the inside of Crump.
Crump holding him down a little bit. Massey's going to have to find a way here through turns 3 and 4. He might have the run, and he'll clear Scott Crump. Nick Massey to the point.
6 different leader, and it's your defending champion, Nick Massey out front. Trying to lead a few laps here. Pick up some points.
Well, we got him on screen. I do love that 51 paint scheme this week. The Stay Tuned podcast running that mellow yellow throwback to like the Kyle Petty early 1990s car. Very, very well done. Great scheme.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree. But don't look too much further back because here comes Ryan Lutz and Tate Lytle.
Just that little instance of side-by-side between the two leaders brought both Lutz and Lytle within a second of the leader, Nick Massey. They are now all bunched together within 1 second of each other. And Massey coming up on lap traffic, including some pretty good cars. Matthew Bayuk, Zishan Dura, Richard Lafferty, Richard Hines, all very close to going a lap down here. In fact, Bayuk just went a lap down.
Well, David, it's going to get really interesting because Jeff Green is now inside the top 5 and coming and in a hurry. Here he comes to Tate Lytle's back door. Is he a lap down?
Tires. Yeah, he's a lap down. Fresh tires have pushed this 38 car back. He and Jared Mogard are the only ones on the strategy right now with that fresh rubber. You know, and you'll see how much the speed difference is for Jeff Green. He's just able to go wherever he wants to on the track, barrel around the second place car. As you see, more guys are coming down pit road now, and I think these guys have been opening up the green flag pit stops by doing this. These guys are going to probably stay out as long as they can, but I would anticipate more drivers seeing what's happening with the Jeff Green and Jared Mogard cars and trying to come down pit road and get that fresh rubber and get that advantage.
So now Green only lost 1 lap or 2 laps there on his pit stop.
He lost 2 laps, but he got one back just now when he blew around Nick Massey. So he's now 1 lap down. As here comes Ryan Lutz on Scott Crump for second spot. Crump's tires seem to have gone away all at once there in the last couple of laps. He lost the lead to Massey and then a second to Massey, and now all the way back to third. Now fourth as Lytle will go around it. Seems like once these tires hit that cliff, they're just gone.
Yeah, as soon as it seems like the leader gets that lead taken away from them, they back up in a hurry.
Or maybe they're over pushing their car while leading and maybe overusing their stuff. We'll see if Crump falls back into the hands of James Heater. Otherwise, I think that car might just be, maybe saving up his stuff for this longer run, because it certainly has that green flag feel to it. Here's we hit lap 65, Nick Massey, and then the rest of them coming across the line there. That's 65. Now we're turning, and Massey, now the leader, Ryan Lutz into second, Tate Lytle into third, Scott Crump into fourth, and James Heater is the top 5.
I don't know how much longer Tate Lytle's going to be in the third position. He's all over the back bumper of Ryan Lutz. He's looked to the inside a couple times. Hasn't been able to pull the move off yet, but he's looking for that second spot.
Yep. Tate also very, very smart racer and very good at saving his stuff, knowing when to make the moves, knowing when not to. And you can see the two guys behind them, Jared Mogard and Josh Adams, they're going to try to make moves on the leaders that might not be too smart there. Lytle now has to go to the top because Adams is down on the bottom. That'll open up the door for Ryan Lutz to put some gap and put some distance between himself and the 56. Lap traffic playing a big factor here in the mid stages of this race.
Yeah, not the way that you would think lap traffic would be causing a factor. Usually it's the leaders going around lap traffic. This time it's the lap traffic trying to unlap themselves coming from behind, and Adams and Mogard will both go around and the battle will ensue once again for the second position.
Yeah, the question becomes, how much time being on pit road, how much time being lost on pit road is worth it to these guys as Adams unlaps himself and Mogard's about to get back onto the lead lap. So that's all going to work out for Jared Mogard regardless. He'll just be at the back end of the lead lap now if the caution were to come out. And with these guys on new tires with a huge speed differential, I think a caution is certainly more than likely at this point, which is likely why these guys are all staying out at this point.
Well, and that's the thing right now, right? Like, these leaders have stayed out for so long, they almost need a caution in order to come down pit road, because the longer they stay out and the guys unlap themselves, then they're just going to be farther back. But for a guy like Mogard, he wants this to go as green as long as possible.
Absolutely, and we also have Gerald Campbell on pit road, so another one of those cars that trying to edge out a new strategy, going for it there. And we also have a new entry into the top 10. Chuck Sweeting has driven from 30th into 10th early in this race, and he's even going to go after 9th after Dylan Thomas. Chuck Sweeting really putting together a strong run in this one. He's always good at the rock.
Battle for 9th and 10th as we work on lap 70 of 170. Closing in on less than 100 laps left to go.
Yep, and right behind him is Adam Pettit in 12th spot. Another guy who's really running strong here, and he's going after Jeff Green. You can see Green no longer really blowing the doors off his competition. He's faster, sure, but those tires have kind of equalized a little bit, and Pettit lets him by. The advantage goes away just as fast as you get it from pitting, and it's all about how much these guys can gain when they have that fresh rubber.
And eventually, if it stays green, it'll go back the other way. Once Massey and them get on pit road, you'll see them blowing by the guys that have pitted earlier in the race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Massey, though, has really opened it up. 2 seconds now from him to Tate Lytle running second. Lytle did finally get around that 36 of Ryan Lutz, but Massey really has opened it up since he took the lead away from Scott Crump. He has been very strong on these older tires.
Yeah, the 48 car knowing how to take control of this Rockingham race, pulling away, and it's almost 2.5 seconds back to Ryan Lutz now and over 3 seconds back to Scott Crump. So Getting spaced out a little bit here in the top 5.
And like I mentioned, it's a got that green flag feel to it, and once the race gets like this, to me, it always gets the same. And Chuck Sweeting and Dylan Thomas have blown around uh, Brandon Scott, and now Chuck's going after Dylan Thomas for that eighth position. I think he's got it too. Chuck Sweeting to eighth from 30th on the grid. Just a masterful job in this first run by the 75 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job done there for Sweeting. We'll see if he can continue his climb through the top 10.
He's got 2.5 seconds to get up to Damian Leininger running seventh, and the top 10 is pretty much stabilized from there. So interesting that I think this 12 car actually falling off quite a bit from his counterpart Matthew Weeks, who's way up the road, up in sixth spot. There's about 6 seconds between them now, and before there was only one or two. So Damian falling off a little bit. Weeks still coming.
So, David, I don't know, you might have mentioned it before I jumped on here. Before you said some of these guys kind of short pitted, what was your expected number of laps before you'd see these guys on pit road?
I was thinking about 80 to 90 is usually the amount that you can do, and 85 is that halfway bonus. So a lot of these guys I think are going to push it to the all the way to that 80th, 90th spot. We got not sure what we're doing there on the broadcast, but these guys are going to be running to the halfway point, I think for sure. So we see James Heater, Scott Crump trying to chase down Ryan Lutz once again. All these guys are going to be pushing for that halfway bonus. But Chris Wright just went a lap down outright on speed. That's pretty shocking. The Rock is such a difficult track to run.
Yeah, I think we might have been trying to go for an onboard cam there. Not sure with Johnny Thomas, but either way, rolling with it, no big deal. Nick Massey out front.
And Nick Massey's next victim, as he did bypass Chris Wright, his next victim to go a lap down is Ethan Burrell in the 37 car. This race has not played into Ethan's hands whatsoever. He's really going to need some cautions in order to catch back up.
Luck was on his side last week, not the case this week for the 37 car. Looking at Brandon Key there.
I just think back to Iowa. It's a very similar track to this. We had Ryan Lutz out front, led so many laps, looked so strong, and then it came down to the end of the race, and it was just a chaotic finish. I think we could see something like that moving forward today, but this race has taken on such a green flag feel. It's going to be very difficult for me to think that anything but this green flag run, and another one, if we do happen to get a caution, is in store for us. The Rock just provides this difficult task of driving. You have to drive against the track as well as your competitors. Very similar to Darlington in that aspect, I think. As Chuck Sweeney continues his march towards the front, up into seventh around Damian Leininger.
Yeah, and Scott Crump, Ryan Lutz, and James Heater are all nose to tail here for third, fourth, and fifth.
Yep. Looks like Lutz's tires might be a little worn out now, as Crump, who he had blown around earlier, is now caught back up to him. And I'm surprised Heater hasn't really challenged anything. I feel like that 16 car hasn't really worn out his tires or anything. He's just hanging back there a little bit. Oh, caution has waved on the speedway. Caution is out. Johnny Thomas will be, I believe, saved by that from going a third lap down.
No, I think he just got his lap back. I think I just saw him go through and unlap himself a lap. So
trying to see where the damage was. I think it was Dylan Thomas in the 03 car. I think that was going to be the caution for our productions guys there. Yep, Dylan just loose entering turn 3, overcorrected and held on the binders. That's going to be the caution. The field is spaced out enough that no harm was done to anyone else. The 03 pretty much by himself there.
Is that just a product of used tires there for Dylan Thomas?
Yeah, I think, and then running in the pack a little bit, maybe focused on the cars around him as opposed to, entering the corner the same as he had been beforehand. But a really good save, and that's going to keep him on the lead lap and in contention for this one. I don't think it's going to work out for the guys who short pitted, though.
Oh, everybody's coming down pit road that was up front right now. Nick Massey leading Lutz, Crump, Heater, and Weeks all down pit road, along with Sweeting as well.
We have to get some word on it, but lap 85 was the pit lap, so I can't help, or the halfway lap. So I wonder if these guys maybe try a little strategy to get some extra bonus points as we keep on board with Dylan Thomas after that incredible save to keep it out of the outside wall. We're lap 84 right now, coming off pit road. These guys might be trying to get the halfway points. Massey will lead them off pit road, and I don't think anyone stayed out, so they may have called the caution lap as the halfway lap.
Yeah, don't know what the case will be there, but leaders did come down pit road. They'll have fresh tires now, and as you said, David, this could be a worst case scenario for those guys that short pitted, because now these guys stay on the lead lap with about 40 laps fresher tires.
Yep. It is about worst case scenario for Josh Adams, Jeff Green, Gerald Campbell. The only one it works out for is Jared Mogard, who had managed to make it up into the top 10, going around the other way. He's now back in ninth. So yeah, that's the one it worked out for. Everyone else is going to be locked in, one lap down. And I think a couple of wave around cars here are going to be Brandon Scott, Richard Lafferty, Jeff Green, Gerald Campbell, and Josh Adams. Although Green and Adams have gone to get tires, so they have forfeited their wave around opportunity, though Campbell, Lafferty, and Scott will not. We'll go down the running order here as well with all the lead lap cars once they get sorted out, so that we can kind of keep you up to date with who's in the race and who's kind of out of it a little bit here. Bit by that lap, though, where Chris Wright, Johnny Thomas, Brandon Key, those guys are all stuck one lap down now.
Tate Lytle able to come out second there off pit road, so he'll line up outside of Massey here, or at least close to him. Could be big for that 56 car, who looked mighty fast in that little opening 85 lap green flag stretch.
Absolutely. We'll have to see if these guys maybe save their tires a little bit more than they did before that last run. But so now that we have things sorted out in preparation to go green again, Nick Massey, your race leader. He's been out front for a little bit here, and as we've hit the halfway, this would be the halfway points, I think, unless they did it when the caution came out, but it's a similar top 10. Massey, Tate Lytle, Scott Crump, James Heater, Ryan Lutz, the top 5. Matthew Weeks, 6th. Chuck Sweeting, 7th. Jared Mogard, 8th. Damian Leininger, 9th. And Dylan Thomas in 10th still. Came to pit road, put some tires on. The 03 car is good to go.
Well, that just tells you, especially Dylan Thomas there, after spinning out, still in the top 10, tells you the benefit of staying out for that caution, because all the other guys were a lap down or whatever. So these guys pit, come back basically to the same positions they're in with fresher tires.
And one quick update before we hit the green, as we do go green, Ethan Burrell on the lead lap in 15th. He did not get caught out by that. The green flag out and gone is Nick Massey. Crump will try to get around Tate Lytle here, entering turn 1. This is going to be tight.
See if everybody can make it out cleanly and down the backstretch. Looks like at least through the top 10, we're good.
Yep, a very, very close race here, though. Into 5th. Weeks side by side with Heater right behind Lytle. That's the tightest battle on track. Chuck Sweeting looking for a way around, too.
I don't know, David. We saw it during that green flag stretch and off the restart. I think the car to watch tonight is going to be that 48 car of Nick Massey, because he's already trying to check out here just 2 laps into this now green flag run once again.
Yeah, already almost a half-second lead for Nick Massey. And Scott Crump really pushing it, trying to keep him in check, but I don't think he's going to be getting there. Is he losing time? Yeah, he lost 0.4 of a second that lap, so Massey absolutely pulling away from the field right now. It's all Nick Massey up front.
Be interesting to see as we go along. Still gonna have about 80 laps to go, but someone's gonna have to try to get to that 48 car and keep him out of the lead, because Sunsea's got out front in that fresh, clean air. He's been a rocket ship on new tires or old tires. And then Crump, Lutz, Lytle, Weeks, the top 5 at the moment. Heater, Mogard, Sweeting, Clark, and Leininger, your top 10.
Damian Leininger having some issues both with blinking and with the cars around him. Josh Clark just blew around him, and now out on his bumper are Dylan Thomas and Thomas Sherman, fighting hard. Jeff Green, not a lead lap car there, right behind them, but this battle very ferocious right now. Thomas Sherman really going after it, and it's kind of curious because I don't think Sherman recognized the lesson he needed to learn there in the last run. He did not keep going very well. He was up in the top 10 and fell all the way back to 15th or 16th. So the tires are burned off that car before. I wonder if they will burn off once again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And you kind of mentioned it, David, to see how hard some of these guys push, and that might make the difference during this little start to this second green flag stretch about who may be the car to watch later on, depending on how hard they push on this restart.
Yep, and big props to Ethan Burrell. He has made it back to his starting position. He's 13th. He's working on Leininger for 12th. He's going to get it too. Ethan Burrell back to the top 12 in this one, and that is a remarkable comeback, all under green. Well, for now, he blinked out there for a second. He's back though. He and Damian both struggling with that blinking. Joe Francis in the top 15. He's in 14th now. Had our eye on him there for a second. Back up towards the front, though. Tate Lytle, Matthew Weeks, Jared Mogard in a heated battle here for 4th spot. This all following behind Massey, Crump, and Lutz. And Weeks going to have the run on Lytle this time, entering 1. Move Matthew Weeks into the top 5. And Jared Mogard as well. Mogard really starting to flex some muscle now. He drops underneath Weeks for 4th.
Mogard marching his way to the front. Got a little bit of a distance to make up to the back of Ryan Lutz. About a second he has to pick up, but could be getting there here in a few laps.
This is the first time I've seen James Heater make a pass all day so far. He's really streamed under people that have washed out, or he has ridden in line. Been waiting for that 16 car to start making moves. There was one right there for 6th on Tate Lytle.
Think Tate's going into tire conservation mode again?
Yeah, I think so. He knows that car will come to him once the run goes along. So Tate's waiting for this run to kind of open up. But the guy who's not saving any tire at all and is going for it right now is Jared Mogard, up into 4th and challenging Scott Crump for 3rd. That 00 car is on a mission.
Yes, he is, and he closed that gap quickly. See if he can make the move now on the 3rd position. Only problem is, no matter if you're saving tires or using them up right now, you're going to have to figure some way out to keep that 48 car in check, because he's got about a 1.5-second lead over everybody right now, and that's on fresh tires, and it seemed like he was even better on old tires.
Yeah, Nick Massey looks really strong today, and we've been waiting on it. We talked about that a couple of times so far today. We're waiting on Nick Massey to come out and dominate a race and show why he was the champion last year, and looks like he's maybe doing just that today.
Mogard made that pass on Crump. Now he's going to have to go after Lutz for the 2nd position. This 00 car looking really strong here on these new tires.
Yep. Mogard, I think, maybe figured something out there when he was running around people with those newer tires against the old tires. Might have picked something up. I know earlier tonight we ran a race at Charlotte in the Elite Racing League, and I had strapped some new tires on it, I just felt like Superman out there, and I was running much better lap times once I got the new tires on as per before. But the black flag is out for Ethan Burrell. That might be for the blinking. 37 car coming down pit road right now. The points leader had fought all the way back to 12th spot, and he is now down pit road. And I think Damian Leininger are getting the same black flag. So the blinking costing Ethan Burrell and Damian Leininger both whatever connection issues they're having, that is hurting them throughout this race.
Man, Ethan was trying his hardest to pull off another comeback like last week, but that might put an end to all of it here today. But now it's going to be stopwatch timing here to see how Mogard can do and see if he can run down your race leader, Nick Massey, as he made the pass on Ryan Lutz.
Yeah, at the line, I'll check their lap times this time through, and we'll give the verdict. Nick Massey's going to run a 24.8 by himself. Jared Mogard just ran a 24.75. So small inroads to the gap, but overall not a whole lot of impact. Mogard not significantly faster than Massey.
No, absolutely not. It would take quite a few laps for him to get up there and really challenge. We had just crossed the 100 lap mark. We're currently on 103 of 170, so getting there. Laps clicking off pretty quickly here at the short track at Rockingham. As you ride on board with your second place driver of Mogard, you can see Nick Massey up there, out by about a second and a half.
I love driving. Excuse me. I love driving or watching like a Rockingham race, but I love driving it too. When you're in there, these guys burying it down into turn one, just having to get on the brakes and then get out on the gas and wash it up towards that wall right where it gets really close. Coming off turn two, it just takes some skill and some bravery to do it without wrecking your car, and you can really make up time entering these corners. And it's always good to run and watch Rockingham. It's just such a fun track, such a technical track to drive. These guys doing it really flawlessly so far today, and we lost Amy Leininger there on the connection issues. So tough break for him, and he was running inside the top 10 today. And Ethan Burrell not having any luck with it. He is now 20th place, so he would not get the free pass. That would go to Josh Adams, who's running 18th.
Looking at Weeks there running inside the top 10 in the 6th spot. There's James Heater running right behind him, and Tate Lytle.
I think Weeks is
Sweeting.
5th. I think that's 5th through 8th, all under a blanket right there. And Sweeting is one that I'm watching. If Chuck can get any track position, he may have something to say about this race win. That car has moved from 30th straight forward, and I think it's one thing Chuck likes to do is qualify in the back and see if he can't make his way through the field as the race goes on. He likes to kind of play those games. He likes to play the pit strategy games. The guy just has fun racing iRacing, and that's what it's all about.
Having fun, but definitely doesn't make it too easy on himself, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He does tend to run into that, and it does help him at the end of times, though, because he knows what he needs to do to make passes, whereas some of these guys who just run up front, they get in the back, and then they end up running somebody over. Battle for 9th, Thomas Sherman going after Josh Clark. Sherman gonna probably make that work. The Davey Allison throwback not going to... Oh, man, good run off the corner for Clark, though.
David counted him out, and he holds the position as he gets a run into 3 and 4 as well.
Well, Ethan Burrell told me before the race, don't jinx me, and it tends to happen whenever we talk positively about some drivers. I tend to jinx them a little bit, but right there, talk Josh Clark negatively, and he goes in response and holds off for 9th. So maybe I need to try that a little better in the future. Maybe it'll help these guys with my jinxing of them, as it were.
Yeah, broadcasters always take the blame.
Mm-hmm. Definitely always our fault. Tate Lytle took 6th away from James Heater here. We'll give you guys a lap update here when they get to the line. It will be lap 112 of 170 in the Belly Up Sports 170 at Rockingham. Looking back at Harrison Talon there. Not sure if he maybe got into the wall a little bit. Joe Francis and Brandon Key, though, battling it out. Key is a lap down. Francis, the 13th place car. The gap up front has widened. Jared Mogard has not been able to run down Nick Massey at all. So here comes Ethan Burrell. That is the battle for the lucky dog position right there. Ethan Burrell will now be in position to get back in the lead lap should the caution wave. And knowing the way this race plays out, I think the caution will wave before things get too deep into the race, and then we will have some restarts where guys kind of go nuts and cause some cautions. I think Ethan Burrell is going to have an opportunity here. He just needs for Nick Massey not to get all the way to the back bumper of Richard Lafferty. That's the next car in line for Massey, and Massey's not that far behind Lafferty now. If Lafferty gets lapped before the caution comes out, that would spell doom for this 37 car's chances to get back to the lead lap.
You know, after everything that 37 car's gone through the last 2 weeks, he shows you that you should never give up. He comes back last week, and now even with the crash in the opening few laps and the black flag, he's in position to be back on the lead lap, and who knows, with still 65 laps left to go or 55 laps left to go, he could have a chance to do something.
Tough for him though. He's going to have to run down Richard Lafferty now, who is 17th, one lap down. That 8 car going to be the challenge for Ethan Burrell the rest of the way. As long as he is one lap down, he needs to get into that position to get that lucky dog and get back on the lead lap.
There's one guy right now that does not want this caution to come out, and that is Nick Massey, out by over 2.5 seconds over everybody else. He's out on his own little island right now, leading this thing in the 48 car.
Just an utterly dominant performance so far from Nick Massey. And, we had a very competitive race early on. So a lot of different leaders, a lot of different guys with strategy. But for now, it has been Nick Massey all by himself since he took the lead over during that long green flag run. Was expecting Nick Massey to do this. So, hats off to him. Interesting thought though here is we've got a really long stretch of lead lap cars from Mogard all the way back to James Heater. Those guys are all in one line within like a second and a half of each other. There could be some good battles from second on back.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They're closing in on each other. You see Weeks on Lytle and Sweeting there, back half of that line. Heater's fallen off the pace just a little bit of those guys, but still in touch if somebody makes contact or slides up the racetrack.
I think Jared Mogard's run the tires off the 00 car, really pushed hard, trying to get up to the lead, and he's going to start paying the price for it here. Ryan Lutz underneath. 36 car's been very consistent all day, trying to take the points lead back from Ethan Burrell. He'll drop underneath the 00, looking for that spot. And this is going to bring Matthew Weeks right to the back bumper of Scott Crump. I think Mogard might lose 5 positions here now that he's washed up to the top of the track.
Yeah, Mogard might get freight trained here, but he was able to slide in there just behind Scott Crump, and it might have saved him at least for the time being. But I think that 00 car we're going to see go backwards here in a hurry.
Yeah, the tires definitely burned off of that machine. Scott Crump, meanwhile, looking at taking that second place away from Ryan Lutz, trying everything he can to make the Stay Tuned podcast machine go. A little bit surprised that he wasn't a little bit faster throughout this race. Honestly, I thought Scott Crump was going to be the guy, and so did Emily. Earlier on in this one, we both kind of said we were going to pick that 51 because Rockingham just kind of falls to him. It's really a Scott Crump style track.
Hanging in here in the third spot, was looking at Lutz, but Lutz pulls away just a little bit down the straightaway, and you can see Crump closing in the corner, driving it in a little deep.
Battle in behind these guys. Matthew Weeks underneath Jared Mogard. He'll go for that 4th spot and get it, I believe. And he's going to bring his teammate Tate Lytle with him. That'll be for 5th, and Chuck Sweeting for 6th. Mogard has lost all 5 of those spots we kind of thought he was going to lose. And Gerald Campbell, he's on fresh tires. Short pit once again for the 31 car. Not much to lose when you're already a lap or 2 down. And by the way, Richard Lafferty did come get tires, so Ethan Burrell is the lucky dog car now in 16th. He's a little bit behind James Heater on track. Freshie on the top 10 real quick. First is Nick Massey, and that has not changed. Second, Ryan Lutz. Third, Scott Crump. Those guys in a heated battle. 4th, Matthew Weeks. 5th, Tate Lytle. 6th is Chuck Sweeting. 7th, Jared Mogard. 8th, James Heater. 9th is Dylan Thomas. 10th is Josh Clark. There are 15 cars on the lead lap, the last of which Michael Goodman in 15th. Running 11th is Thomas Sherman. 12th, Adam Pettit. 13th, Joe Francis. 14th is Brandon Scott, and 15th, Goodman, as we mentioned. And then, Scott Crump and Ryan Lutz just about made contact there. Gerald Campbell's going to scoot on by, and maybe Ryan Lutz a little sideways down the back straightaway. It's getting tough to drive on these older tires.
Well, I was just going to say, if there's anything that these two don't need is to get into a battle, and I think it slowed them up a little bit trying to get around Mogard, as Massey is now out by almost 4.5 seconds. If these two get into a battle, that would only help that lead expand even more.
Yep, Matthew Weeks just fell 2 spots as well. Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting went on by him. So move Lytle up into 4th now. And, the one guy I think that's been waiting for this long green flag run, if other than Nick Massey, was this Tate Lytle car.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might now be go time for Lytle here as we close in on 40 to go. See if that bright green and blue 56 car starts trying to march his way up here past Crump and Lutz.
Yep, Lytle a strong run so far in 4th. He's 9th in points. He and Josh Adams have both missed a race. But they are managed to stay top 10 in points despite that because of runs like this. Lytle has really put together a strong run today, and he's absolutely deserving of the good points day that he could potentially get.
Yeah, absolutely. 9th in points, a good strong points day today. That'll put him in the All-Star race next week for sure.
Nick and Delicato not starting well, and he's going to fall out from 10th. So, and I don't see Cameron Rich anywhere on track. We haven't mentioned him all day. Matthew Bayuk with a bad day, even though Jared Mogard, who is pitted now and tried the short pit strategy once again, it seems like him and Nick Massey are the two that can really capitalize on this. And maybe Josh Clark. He's been in the top 10 all day long as well.
This time by will be on lap number 130, so we'll have 40 to go.
I assume Massey makes it into the top 10 in points. Currently, the top 10 guys that are having issues, Colin Fambro, he'll finish last today, 123 laps down. Caution's out.
Caution.
It's out on track.
Caution on the speedway. Adams looks like green.
Josh Adams, big hit in points there. He's 6th in the point standings, so not what Josh Adams wanted. And I think that crash right there is going to be a product of a guy having fresh tires. Jeff Green just bounced it off the fence. He took out his 2 Ruthless Motorsports teammates. Jeff Green and Josh Adams both involved, and I think Adams came in late there. That's going to be we're going to have to defer to the stewards there. Johnny Eckert always does such a great job for us, and officiating and whatnot. Green's car just gets really tight there, bounces it off the fence. 2 Ruthless Motorsports cars right there, and I'm not sure what happened to Brandon Scott and Josh Adams back there. I'm going to have to watch that one back again as well. Josh just runs right into the back of his teammate.
Brandon Key involved in there as well.
I guess the caution hadn't come out yet or something for Adams. He slows up, but it's just too late, and he bounces off of Green and then hard into the inside wall.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. He tried to avoid him. I think we're riding on board with him here.
He's just not slow enough at all, and then Green appears from the smoke. Yeah, I never saw him. Tough break. As everyone has come down pit road now, it'll be Nick Massey out first. Second will be Tate Lytle, I think, gets to the line second. We'll have to check the scoring on that.
Well, less than 40 to go. Going to be interesting. I don't think you can really save tires too much here. And if you're Tate Lytle, if you're going to start next to Nick Massey, you might have to go with him right away if you're going to have any shot at beating him.
Yep, lap 132 right here, 133 coming as they cross the line. And I believe that caution was well timed for one driver, and specifically Ethan Burrell. He is back in the lead lap, 15th spot. Ethan's going to have an opportunity now to make some moves with fresh tires. Some of these guys are going to have to take wave arounds and drive with old tires. But we just got Emily back from pit road, and Emily, what happened there for the Ruthless guys?
Well, I actually checked in with the Rebens racing guys. I wanted to check in with Nick Massey, who said he hit the wall a little bit there, but doesn't expect too much damage on his car, and he's good on the long runs. He just has to hold everyone off on the short runs. The rest of the crew, though, there did not seem to be having a good time so far tonight. So they said there was only one person in their group who was having a good time tonight, which I'm assuming is Nick Massey.
Oh yeah, it is. It is Rubbin's race, and so Jeff Green not a part of that team, but Josh Adams just and Brandon Key both just taken out in the same incident there. So I'm sure that those guys not having very good time at all with a teammate in another series, Jeff Green. So yeah, Rubbin's racing team there, the 69, which Chris Wright has gone a lap down tonight under Green. Brandon Scott, who was nearly involved in that one, and then Brandon Key, Josh Adams, both involved, and Nick Massey, who is the race leader.
So Scott Crump actually beat Tate Lytle out of pit road, so he'll start. He came off pit road second. Lytle came off pit road third. So Lytle
Right.
or Crump will start to the outside of Massey here on the restart.
Yep. Tate Lytle will start third. Ryan Lutz fourth. Chuck Sweeting fifth. Matthew Weeks sixth. Then it's James Heater seventh. Dylan Thomas eighth. Thomas Sherman ninth, and Josh Clark in 10th. Adam Pettit 11th, Joe Francis 12th, Brandon Scott 13th, Michael Goodman 14th, Ethan Burrell 15th. Those are the cars on the lead lap with fresh tires. Jared Mogart is 16th, and Gerald Campbell is 18th. Both of those guys stayed out on the tires that they got while under green. So those guys are back in the lead lap. They took the wave around. They will not be making up ground. They will be hoping another caution comes out so they can go put more tires on it. Coming back to the green now. Nick Massey going to get the jump on Scott Crump. See if anybody spins their tires. Ryan Lutz, the only other one to get a good jump. This 36 car going after second. He's not going to get there.
Great restart for Nick Massey once again, but they all close in as they come through turns 1 and 2. Crump on the back of Massey, and it's going to be a sprint here to the finish. Lutz throwing a big block, pushing Sweeting all the way down to the bottom, and he's going to return the favor, push Lutz out of the groove, and Lutz is going to lose 4 or 5 spots.
Man, that was a big moment there. Chuck Sweeting went underneath Ryan Lutz, and Lutz did not like that and tried to block down, and Chuck just said, "No way, man! I'm not gonna take that," and drove him up the track there. Well, I guess we'll see it here. Chuck's just gonna try to follow Tate Lytle through, and Lutz just slams the door.
And then here you see Lutz get shoved back up the track, and there goes Weeks, Thomas, and I think Heater.
Sideways.
He's going to save it. Wow, what a save.
Ooh, I thought James Heater was gone for sure. Now they're 3 wide. Lutz trying everything to get back up to the front. Heater will go to the top side here, maybe lose a couple of spots, but that's the consistent mindset. You know, you lose a couple of spots here and there, but you make them all back up later on. So James Heater gonna, keep it going despite the tires now being extremely warm. And I notice a little lead changes occurred. Scott Crump around Nick Massey. Wonder if that damage is maybe worse than Nick thought it was going to be.
Yeah, who knows? Crump out front, Massey second, and Tate Lytle sitting in the 3rd position. Could have a good battle here for the final few laps if they can stay together as we're closing in on 30 to go.
Yeah, it's a good battle back and forth all the way through the field. Just mentioning the progress of Ethan Burrell, the points leader. He's up to 12th. That 37 car never quits, guys.
No, he doesn't. And it seems like bad luck is on his side, but he's got good luck sitting right there beside him. Able to make his way back up here and trying to get another top 10 even after a bad start to a day.
How about Dylan Thomas up to 6th now? He was sideways and around one time earlier this race. Made an incredible save to keep the nose of that car off the wall. Now he's got an opportunity here as we're on board with Tate Lytle running 3rd, trying to find a way around Nick Massey and go after Scott Crump. Massey hasn't been able to hold on to the rear bumper of Crump, so it's not like Massey's car is slow and losing time.
No, you don't want to give the lead over at this point with so few laps left to go here in this one, but wonder if Massey's pushing Crump here a little bit, maybe to try to use up some of his stuff and get by him.
Yeah, just a great run here. Very, very close overall from the top 4. Everyone under a blanket here. It's Scott Crump, Nick Massey, Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting, Matthew Weeks, and Dylan Thomas, the top 6, all within 0.7 of a second of each other. Tate Lytle now going for second on Massey. Massey slams the door.
Well, David, you've been singing the praises of that 75 car all day long. Now he's in a great position to try to make something happen. We'll see if he can do it from the 4th position.
Chuck Sweeting is really, this race is coming down to look like a Chuck Sweeting style race too. Maybe a late caution where somebody tries to stay out, somebody tries to take 2 tires, and you can bet Chuck Sweeting is going to be the opposite of whatever those guys do. Massey to the outside of Crump for the lead.
And he might have moved him with the nose a little bit before going into that corner. There might have been a little bit of contact between Crump and Massey. Lytle looking to the inside, thinking about making it 3 wide
Oh,
down
he
the front
got into
stretch.
Crump. Tate got into Crump. Tate's through to the lead.
And that might be the race-winning move there for Tate Lytle. They've kept Nick Massey in tow, haven't let him run out away here. And now here comes Tate Lytle to the inside. We're side by side, 2 wide, 2 deep. Here comes Chuck Sweeting to the inside of Nick Massey as well.
What a move by Tate Lytle. Now here comes Crump back to the bottom. 3 wide into 1. That's not going to work. Crump gets into
Sweeting's
Chuck.
going around.
Saved it again.
Oh my gosh, almost got Weeks there as well. Lutz and Thomas have to go down. Everyone's
They're going to crash out. 3 wide entering 3. Chuck still trying to save it, trying to stay off of these guys. Ethan Burrell into the top 10. James Heater trying to hit 3 wide. And
wow,
all that takes Thomas Sherman up into the top 5 now. He is now 3rd. Holy crap, what an incredible set of corners. Tate Lytle now your handy race leader by a 0.6 of a second over Massey. Thomas Sherman now to 3rd. Scott Crump to 4th. Josh Clark has moved to 5th. Matthew Weeks 6th. Ryan Lutz 7th. Dylan Thomas 8th. James Heater 9th. Chuck Sweeting 10th. Ethan Burrell 11th.
Something is definitely up with that 48 car of Nick Massey. That contact has to be worse than he thought, because this car has totally gone away from the dominating car that we saw earlier.
Yeah, we didn't see which lap it was that caused that incident, but yeah, Massey was not this bad earlier in the race, and it's incredible. We talked about it right at the beginning where we said, maybe Tate Lytle has another opportunity to get in the lead and try to win this thing, but oddly enough, here he is out front again, and Massey trying to run him down. Massey seems to be a little bit quicker here, though Tate may have just got caught up in traffic a little there.
Yeah, it did look like Massey was closing the gap a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on it here now. It looks like it's under half a second, though. He might be coming.
He closed it to within half a second of Tate Lytle, so Massey trying to come on back. Crump is attacking Thomas Sherman for that 3rd spot. And then teammates Matthew Weeks and Josh Clark battling it out. Now Ryan Lutz into the 5th spot around Clark. So move Weeks and Lutz up into 5th and 6th. And those guys are going to be trying to chase down Crump and Sherman. Though I think with all that battling, it's really set the table for a Tate Lytle versus Nick Massey finish for the race win.
We have 20 to go. Lap 150 on the board of 170 here in the belly up 170, and it might be down to the 2 cars on your screen. The 56 Tate Lytle and the 48 of Nick Massey. And David, he is definitely coming.
Yep, Massey's maybe found a little something extra there to dig down deep and try to go get it. The win is right there for him. He's dominated this race. Can he take over for Tate Lytle? We saw Tate win his race this season by passing Ethan Burrell late on restart, and then I think under pit stops, and then holding off the charging Burrell. He'll have to do that again with Nick Massey here. That move to get around Scott Crump versus that move that Scott Crump made on Chuck Sweeting. Just 2 totally different mindsets, in my opinion. Tate just barely nudged the back bumper of Crump, and it didn't cost him anything. Crump just slid it a little bit sideways, kept it going, and Crump just kind of turned Chuck completely sideways.
Tate won back in week number 3 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, looking to pick it up here at Rockingham, but he's going to have to hold off a charging Nick Massey, who's looking for his first win of the season.
And Nick needs every point he can get. He is 14th in points, so he is by no means locked into the All-Star race next week. He needs this good run. And speaking of good runs for our top points getters, 8th place is now Ethan Burrell. He is 2 spots behind Ryan Lutz. What an incredible comeback by Ethan Burrell.
Just continues to amaze us here. He wins 2 weeks ago. Amazing run to finish with a top 3 finish last week, and then backs it up here with a top 10 at least here at Rockingham after having multiple times to go down pit road and fix cars both weeks.
Yep, and a penalty for blinking in this race. Ethan Burrell now going after 7th on his teammate Josh Clark. The battle for, we'll keep our eye on the battle for the lead. Massey has closed to within 3/10, move Ethan Burrell into 7th. What an incredible run. He is now right behind Ryan Lutz, and the caution is waved. It is Brandon Scott. You see him there in the 99 car. Caution is out. That will change everything. It erases the gap between the 2nd and 3rd place cars, which was sizable, a full 2 seconds, I believe, between Lytle, Massey, and then Thomas Sherman in 3rd. And in fact, I think Scott Crump's going to end up getting around Sherman for that 3rd spot. Yeah, at the caution, it will be Crump 3rd, Weeks 4th. Oh, man. We're going to have to watch that. So we need to go watch Crump and Sherman battling it out there, entering that caution lap. Lap 154.
You see Scott there just bouncing off the outside wall, coming down, smacking the inside wall, and then looks like everybody is coming down pit road.
Wow. We'll have to see if anybody does the goes for 2 tires. I'll keep my eye on that while we go to this replay. I would not be surprised if you saw Thomas Sherman a little upset at Scott Crump for this one. Here he is, just absolutely misses the corner and puts Thomas Sherman directly into the wall. And that's that would not make me pretty happy as a driver. I'll tell you that right now.
Door slammed him into the outside wall in the exit of turn number 2 right before that caution comes out. Lutz almost was able to take advantage as well.
I believe Dylan Thomas went with 2 tires. Ryan Lutz goes with 2 tires. So Lutz trying the bold strategy here. He will take the race lead over. Will Ryan Lutz with a 2 tires pit call.
I did see Nick Massey did go for 4 tires.
Yeah. So it'll be Lutz, then Lytle, then Dylan Thomas going for 2 tires as well. Then it'll be Nick Massey. Then Scott Crump in 5th, and Crump just smashed into the rear bumper of the Nick Massey car under caution. Man, not a great day for Scott Crump, giving Nick Massey a ton of damage.
Yeah, not sure what's the deal with Crump here. He got into
just a teensy bit there. It's entering turn 3, Josh.
Here you go, right here. Here's under caution, just rams right into the back of Nick Massey. Crump's not making too many friends out here in the last 15 laps or so between Sweeting, and then you have his run-in with Massey there, and as we saw on replay there, just a few laps ago with, escaping my mind here, David, unless you can think of it.
He ran in the back of Massey, and then he bounced off of Sherman.
Yeah, and then got into Sweeting too.
Yep.
So.
And now I think a little bit of nose damage, but geez. Well, rear end damage hasn't affected Ethan Burrell much at all. He's sitting right there in 7th spot. I can't imagine that the 48 car will be too worse for wear, but still, though, you don't want just random damage getting placed on you by your competitors under caution.
Yeah, there might be a discussion with Crump after that one. Very unnecessary.
Yep, we got Johnny Eckert in the booth, or rather in the hauler, and he'll have the talk. He and Johnny Thomas enforce the law. They hand down the penalties when they're needed. They handle them off the track, and you know, if somebody's driving like they don't need to, those guys will take care of it.
Well, we're coming to, it's going to be lights are out on the pace truck, or pace car, so we're going to have about 10 laps left to go when we go green flag racing once again.
Yep, that's what we'll do, and we'll count it down here as best we can. We'll be coming to 11 to go once we hit the line. Ryan Lutz, Tate Lytle side by side, and Lutz on 2 tires. I imagine that car will be pretty loose. I'd watch to see if Lutz or Dylan Thomas has any trouble getting through turn 1.
Watch that 48 car. He might try to jump to the outside, too, on those 4 fresh tires. Could be interesting. Pace car going to pull down and away here, and we're about ready to wrap up the belly up 170. 11 laps left to go. Going to be Lutz, Lytle, Thomas, and Massey. The front 4 bringing us to the green flag. Good restart for Lutz. He's going to pull ahead of Lytle as we go back to green.
Yep, not a good restart for Dylan Thomas. It's going to bottle up Scott Crump and allow Massey to get to the outside. See if Massey can get him off the corner. No. Oh, here they go. 3 wide going down the back straightaway.
Tate Lytle to the inside of Ryan Lutz for the race lead.
Yep.
Lytle back out front, and it
It's
might
all
be
Tate
trouble
Lytle.
for Nick Massey because now he's got to try to run down that 56 car, and he's got a ways to go. Look at who's coming, David. 37
Yes.
right in the middle of it.
Yep, Ethan Burrell in the Hornet's Nest here. Got to try to make sure you get away with as many points as you can. Man, he and his teammate Matthew Weeks running close there. Charging hard as he goes after Dylan Thomas. The two-tire strategy not working for the 03. Ethan Burrell into 5th.
Yep, and here he comes after Scott Crump for the 4th position.
Car was in the wall backwards on lap number 2 in that 37 car, and he managed to bring it all the way back here and have a chance to take over 4th before the end of this race. It's
David,
not over between Ryan Lutz and Tate Lytle.
No, it's not, but it's also not out of the question either for for Ethan Burrell to have a chance at the top 3. Nick Massey right there in front of him as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see if these guys can kind of sort it out the rest of the way. James Heater has moved past Dylan Thomas into 6th. Matthew Weeks is still stuck behind Thomas in 8th. Mogard now in 9th. Gerald Campbell into the top 10. Where did he come from? We're going down to it. 1 lap 164 on the board as Lytle hits the line here. That'll be, what, 7 laps to go for him and Ryan Lutz. Lutz is going to have to be doing more than that. He was slower by 0.2 of a second that lap to Tate Lytle. Lutz has to find a little more speed in those 2 fresh tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at it, Nick Massey was almost about half a tenth quicker. That's not going to be enough either for any of these guys to try to get up there and challenge Tate Lytle. Lytle might be setting sail to lock up this win as we hit 6 to go.
Yep, another 0.2 of a second that Tate Lytle blew by Ryan Lutz. It's now 0.6 total for Lutz back up to Tate Lytle, so it's going to require a bit of a miracle for that 36th car to pick up another race win this season. Meanwhile, everyone else has kind of sorted it out single file. The battle is back here for 7th between Matthew Weeks and Gerald Campbell.
5 to go this time by. So we look at that battle between Weeks and Campbell. Mogard in there as well.
Jared Mogard trying to come back from a number of issues throughout the night, and a couple of attempts at short pitting that have fallen short for him there. The battle goes back up to the front of the field, and it's still all Tate Lytle.
Massey has closed in on Ryan Lutz.
Crash in turn 1. Thomas Sherman hits the wall.
Waiting to see. Looks like he's going to keep rolling. Green flag still out.
He saved it. Wow, man. I was convinced he was going around and into the wall. Great save by Thomas Sherman.
Massey's closing in on Lutz, but the bad news is Tate Lytle's pulling away from Ryan Lutz, and time is winding down. 3 laps left to go. And unless something happens like Thomas Sherman going into the wall again, it looks like it's in the hands of Tate Lytle to bring this one home.
Yep, tough break for sure for these guys that are tracking behind, especially Nick Massey, who had every opportunity earlier in this, in that run before this caution, and maybe before he got that damage on the back bumper from that 51 car to get in there and challenge for the win. Now it seems like it's all Tate Lytle as we come down to get the white flag this time.
And that just seems to be the theme of the season, David. The dominating car that's been strong throughout the day, not always taking home the win here when the final flag waves and the checkered flag comes out. That's going to be the case again here for Nick Massey, who we thought the defending champion might finally be able to break through and get to victory lane. Meanwhile, Tate Lytle sends it off into 3 and 4, goes under Brandon Key. And he's going to pick up his 2nd win of the season here in the Belly Up 170 at Rockingham.
Massey gets Lutz on the last lap there for 2nd, and then Scott Crump in 3rd, and Scott Crump in 4th, and Ethan Burrell brings it home in 5th with an incredible run to the top 5 from the points leader, staying resilient. He is really going to be difficult to beat if he gets wrecked on lap 1 and still manages to get it 5th. James Heater's going to come home in 6th with another top 10 by Mr. Consistent. 7th will be Matthew Weeks. 8th, Gerald Campbell. 9th, Jared Mogard and Josh Clark with an impressive top 10 run.
Absolutely. Everyone giving Tate Lytle a little tap of congratulations as he goes to burn it down here at Rockingham.
Yeah, big win for Tate Lytle. Great paint scheme. Just a thrilling race there. A couple of times in that race, I really thought something was happening that shouldn't have happened, and getting sideways entering turn one. A couple of 3 wide entrances, a couple of crazy cautions, and all in all, a really good finish to the day.
Absolutely exciting after what looked like it was going to be a green flag run all the way. Caution flags come out at the end to bring us some entertainment. It's Tate Lytle bringing it home with Nick Massey and Ryan Lutz rounding out your top three.
We'll have to check and see who's coming for interviews. I believe Nick Massey's in the waiting room, so we should be able to bring in your runner-up finisher, unless we want to go to the race winner, Tate Lytle, first. It's up to you there, Josh. All right, so we'll start with Nick Massey with Emily. So I'll bring him up here, and Emily, you can take it away.
Hey, Nick, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, this was kind of a wild finish here. So I just want to start by your impressions on how the race went tonight, especially the ending there.
It was pretty tame for the most part. It's nice to have all those long green flag runs because I feel like that's when I was really good. Is I was able to kind of save my tires a little better than some of the other guys and kind of drive off a little bit. But yeah, these late race cautions, man, with like 10, 15 to go, it's just like I can't win with these on these strategies here. I take 4 tires, people take 2, and then or I start on the wrong lane. I just can't win with these late race restarts, man.
Well, when I talked to you in the middle of the race, you kind of said you got hit. You hit the wall a little bit. Was your car maybe a little bit more damaged than you thought it was?
I thought it was gonna be worse. I don't think it affected me too much, fortunately. But yeah, I was letting a lap car new tires come by, and I just entered turn one, and then I went into a four-wheel slide. It was like a patch of ice down there going into turn one. I don't know. It was really weird, but yeah. Fortunately, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Good. Well, before we let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, just, congrats to Tate on the win. What's that, number 2 on the year? So he's uh, putting them down. And just thanks to my teammates there. Josh was helping me spot towards the end since he had his issues in the race. But yeah, just Scott, Chris, um, both Brandons. It's good to have Keith back.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, just you guys. Hopefully, it was a good show.
Yeah, it was. You guys are always entertaining. So thanks so much for the time and congrats on coming in second tonight.
And now we'll bring Ryan Lutz in for a P3. See if maybe he had anything else he could have done regarding the 2 tire call here. So we'll send it down to Emily for the interview with Ryan Lutz.
Hey, Ryan, do you have a copy?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, just talk to me real quick about your strategy coming into the race tonight and if it changed throughout the night for you.
Oh, we had a pretty good car. I knew Rockingham's not one of my best tracks, so I knew we just had to run consistently in the top 5, and I thought we had a good long run car there. I did a pretty good job saving tires. I've been getting better at it, and we definitely had a long run car. And at the end there, I was really bummed when that second caution came out. I don't know, whatever lap it was with 30 to go. I was kind of bummed out. I thought we were gonna run second there, and then I just got bobbled up in traffic. I had a bad restart and was in the wrong lane and got bottled up in traffic. And then, Ethan I saw he's like Harvick, man. He always has these great finishes, and he was behind me, and I was like, screw it, we're just gonna put 2 on and just drive the crap out of it. And luckily it worked out, and we had a good points day.
What would you say was maybe the biggest challenge for you throughout the night tonight?
Definitely saving tires, and it was just a cat and mouse game of who was going to go and who wasn't. And I knew there was going to be a long run, and just really how aggressive do you get, how early. It was really cat and mouse game, and I thought we did a good job at it. And it just didn't work out in our favor, but it was certainly a good day.
Would you say that there was a point in the race that was kind of a turning point for you?
Yeah, I think that last pit stop was a good turning point for us. I mean, we were restarting 4th there, and we had a good restart, got to the bottom, and we were right in contention there, and just it didn't work out, but it was definitely we were definitely right there. So that definitely was a turning point for me.
Well, before we let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, just you, Emily, David, everyone that does this broadcast. It's always awesome to watch back. Belly Up Sports, Damian Leininger, and Apex Sim Racing. It was another good points night. I don't know if we'll be the point leader, but we'll definitely be close. And just everyone that runs ERSCA, man, it's a fun league to be in. And just Bat Flip Podcast, Chris Dilbeck Racing, just Mrs. Goody's Goody, everyone that helps out. It's always fun to come out Monday nights and run with ERSCA.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time, Ryan, and congrats on coming in third tonight.
Thanks, Emily.
All right, and with that, we will bring in our race winner, Tate Lytle, for his race interview. So we'll send it down to Emily to talk to Tate.
Hey, Tate, do you have a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, what do you think was the reason for your success here on this track tonight?
A lot of these guys just don't know when they need to be saving the tires and stuff, and I kind of made it easy on me starting 15th. Save because I was behind all those other cars, so I don't know, it kind of worked out. And then I wasn't sure those last couple laps what was going to go down.
Yeah, it was kind of a wild finish there. What was your strategy on saving tires? How were you so successful at that?
I mean, I was just letting it roll. I was getting out of the gas like almost the start finish line, and just letting it roll through the corner. And they were kind of charging it, and when you charge it, you waste more gas and you wear out those tires. So I don't know. I love tracks like this where you kind of got to finesse the corners. And then those short run at the end, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I wasn't sure what my pace was going to be on that short of a run.
Was there a moment in the race tonight where you kind of felt like you could win this whole thing? Like it felt pretty good for you that you thought you were going to come in first?
Yeah, a couple times. I thought if it went green the whole way, I was going to be able to get Nick. Then the caution came out. And honestly, until I sent Scott up the track and we went 3 wide through turn 2 and I ended up with the lead. Until then, I didn't really feel like it. And then at that point, I was like, oh, I got to drive this thing like I stole it. Otherwise, he's going to come right back at me. So we were just hauling as much mail as we could and see if we could get to the checker first.
Well, before we let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, you guys and Brent Wentz, days gone by, Harpoon Design, and then got Dad and Uncle Ryan back at their place watching the race. So shout out to them for sticking through my virtual race car race.
Yeah, well, a big hello to Dad and Uncle Ryan, and thanks so much for the time tonight, Tate, and congrats on the win.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that's our winners interviews, and we'll send it down to Emily for any kind of final thoughts here before we sign it off for the evening.
Yeah, I thought there were going to be a lot more cautions tonight. I think I mentioned that to you, David, at the beginning. So I was a little surprised that there weren't as many as I was expecting, but it was all good. I think it was a fun race and really exciting there at the end, and stoked for all the guys that came out on the top tonight.
Yeah, I think I echo that. It was a really exciting finish, and it was good to see Tate pull off the win. Kind of disappointing though that Nick Massey still doesn't have one yet so far. I'm waiting for him to move up, and I'll go check the standings and see if there's anything we need to report on here. But Dom, what about you for the final thoughts?
Just kind of on the same thoughts you had there, David. We talked all season long about how Nick Massey's the defending champion, and looked like tonight he was gonna kind of put his name in the win column and really put himself up front and dominate this race. And once again, something happens and the dominating car does not come away with the victory. So going to be interesting here as we go to the All-Star race next weekend. Going to be a fun one, but then we will be back after that with a trip to Charlotte or Nashville. Yeah.
Yep, Nashville. The next one, the short track there, Fairground Speedway. One of my favorite tracks. This race is just always has such amazing racing. It's such a great track, great history. I love Rockingham. I'm really glad we got to run in. We ran a really exciting race. The win was determined because Tate Lytle bumped Scott Crump 3 wide for the lead, and that was the deciding factor. So once again, congratulations to Tate Lytle for the race win. And I think for now that'll be it. So we'll sign off here for Emily Harlan and Dom Santina. I am David Westergreen. This has been a production of Belly Up Sports, the Belly Up 170 from Rockingham for ERSCA. We would like to thank all our sponsors, especially Days Gone By, the Batflip Podcast, Ohio, the other one there, the Ohio Ultra Express Trucking, and Tap In Software, among all the other ones. So thanks to our sponsors, and everyone have a good night.